Welcome to the Alchemy of Ascension Season 4, activating awareness, well-being, intimacy, and self-mastery. I'm your host, Washela Sananda, and today I have a very special guest, Kavita Rani Arora. Welcome, Kavita.
Oh, it's so great to be here, Washela.
I'm so happy to have you. And before we jump in, I just want to invite everyone to do a short guided meditation so that we can all get on the same page and get present together to receive whatever is in this conversation for each one of us today. So I invite you to begin by closing your eyes and then deepening the breath as you settle into your body. And with each breath, just relax and get present and notice what you're feeling. And then bring your awareness into your heart center and find the light within your heart. And as you're breathing into that light, feel it glowing and growing and getting bigger, expanding out around your chest. And then bring your heart light up through the crown of your head, extending up all the way up above your head, and find the heart of central sun. And this is the heart light of divine masculine. Find that nurturing, supportive energy in the warmth of the central sun. And then bring that energy down into the crown of your head, through your spine, into your heart, all the way down the spine, and then continuing down all the way into the center of the earth, finding the heart of the Mother Earth. And this is the nurturing, divine, feminine energy, the heart of the mother. And then bring that energy up through the layers of the earth as if it's coming up in roots, carrying liquid, crystal, plasmic, creative energy, bringing that into the base of the spine, extending all the way up the spine. And then finding the Trinity union of above, below, and within, the masculine and the feminine uniting to create the divine child within, bringing out now this light that contains your presence, focus, curiosity, and allow yourself to be open to receive whatever is in this conversation that is for your highest good today. And with that, go ahead and come back, open your eyes, and thank you for doing that with me. I always feel so much more grounded after that. So I would love to begin by sharing a little bit from Kavita, from your bio, so that everyone kind of has an idea of what you're up to in the world. So many amazing things. So Kavita Rani Arora is the founder of Epic Dream Academy and host of the Wealth Alchemy Lab podcast. She supports women in midlife to reignite passion, pleasure, and purpose, resulting in joy and world change through self-expression. As an unconventional business strategist and spiritual catalyst, Kavita has developed a proven energy-based process, the Epic Dream Method, for creating vibrant health, wealth, and soul-driven success. The method is derived from ancient Vedic wisdom, neuroscience, the quantum field, and the divine feminine. Kavita left her career as a lawyer to follow her soul's true calling. She is currently living her dream in Southern California with her husband and son, who actually just went to college.
Yeah.
So welcome. I love hearing you have done so many things, and I would love to kind of hone in on what was the catalyst for you going from being a lawyer to following your soul's calling into a different direction?
Mm. Well, you know, I had this, I'd always felt split into two people. And what I really wanted to do, I did on the side, because the practical side of me and what my parents wanted me to do as an Indian girl was to become, I had business, law, engineering, medicine. And so I did a business degree and a law degree, and I never had the passion for what I was doing, because the side of law that would have been of interest to me was not lucrative, not practical to pursue. And so I found this place where I could negotiate technology contracts, and I could not be doing anything immoral, but it was not a life of passion about what I was doing. And so I realized there are so many people in the world who could do this very same function. I'm not here to just do a function. And inside I was dying. It's like, oh, this doesn't mean anything. It's not a contribution. And inside of that dying, I was binge drinking, I was binge eating, I felt out of control. And yet I looked like I had it all, all the things that I was supposed to have: a handsome husband, a beautiful child, a really nice house, a great job. And so the catalyst was this split that I felt of like, and then it was time for that to end. Now, that turned out to be a way more complex process than I imagined. But I also arrived at that place, which I'm grateful for, or maybe I'm not so sure sometimes, but I had to change, because if I didn't change, I was going to die, or I was going to hurt somebody else. So that's the honest to goodness truth, is I felt like I was going nuts, and I was never going to figure out what was wrong with me until I went in this direction, and
Wow. Wow, that's powerful. And it's like the story of a lot of people who have this inner calling, this inner knowing that I was made for more, not to just do a 9 to 5, or not to just do somebody else's passion, but to really find my own. And sometimes it takes a lot to extract ourselves from traditionally what we're told we're supposed to do and what we've studied for. And you were very successful, I understand, in your business,
yeah.
in your lawyer life.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it becomes harder and harder to leave, because then you're progressing, but then you realize I realized I didn't want to progress. I didn't have the desire to advance in that career. And honestly, I knew back when I was 20, 21, around that time, that it was not the right path for me, but I didn't have the courage to choose differently than where my entire life had been headed. I had the courage to say to my parents, I don't want to do this business undergrad degree, but I was going to Wharton, right? And my parents had sent me out of Michigan to pay for this expensive degree to send me to Wharton. So they didn't want me to leave the name. And well, you could have gone to University of Michigan for so much less money. And so there was these forces of like guilt and expectation and the codependence, really, and so it takes time and courage to break that. And a lot of people don't. And I find it really sad. And I know I almost didn't. And it's been a very difficult journey, because people around me don't really understand me or what I'm doing or why I'm doing it.
Right. And yet, because you did that, now you get to help other people do the same thing, to find,
Yes.
what their heart is really calling them to. And you have a really unique process for that. I love the names: Epic Dream Academy. And so, yeah, I know you have this whole like process around that. Do you want to share a little bit about it? And there's one point in particular that I love about time, but I'll let you kind of unpack what a little bit around what does that mean, Epic Dream Academy? Because it's not just about like lucid dreaming or something. It's, it's so much more.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you have something specific in mind, and I say so many different responses to this kind of question. So if there's somewhere that I don't touch on, you let me know.
I'll come back to it.
But
for sure.
yeah, so, well, first of all, it's epic dream, not just a dream, because people don't dream big enough. And I believe that there's an epic human inside of everybody. And we're all here to have an epic experience. So, you know, I like to use words like that are very expansive, that make you say epic. Okay, it's not just a dream, it's an epic dream. And so the idea is to step into, there's something that only you are here to do. And people hear this and they, you know, and we get bored with it, but really contemplate this in this moment. Wake up to that. We all get so numb. So you're special. I'm special. There's something you're here to do, and something you're here to communicate. And we don't trust that. We don't trust our voice. And so this first piece in the method is really about expanding into like what you thought was possible as a child, and then fantasizing and dreaming and letting yourself, and then people have trouble with this, but as much as you can, letting yourself expand. So as you expand, seeing the possibilities. What was possible for you when you were young? What are all the things that you're cutting yourself off from now? What are you tolerating in your life, right? And then putting those things aside, or looking at them and saying, okay, what do I want instead? Really claiming that, and then doing an exploration of what's in the way, your challenges, but not just this, okay, these are the things that are in the way. All right, I get it. And then putting that away. Now engaging that every day. Oh, these are my limits. These are the ways I'm limiting myself. And then there's a whole way I have of going inside of your inner voice. And so what happens when we see the gap between where we are and where we want to go, and the challenges we have in getting to where we want to go, is we start shaming. Right. And we start to, and a lot of people start to fail at pursuing their dreams, because then they start shaming themselves, and then they start really going for the goal. And then some people can really do that. There are people who are designed to do that. And then there are a lot of people that doesn't work. And then shame, guilt, I suck. And then you give up. So the difference in the way I approach this is we work at the levels of your nervous system. We look at what is your capacity right now. We look at the traumas you've been through, and help you release those pieces so that you actually can go for your dreams. So, I mean, that would be a short way of describing some of this. And then part of it is working with the quantum field in a unique way that I first learned from Dr. Joe Dispenza, and now I've evolved into all sorts of different things of my own that I call like the quantum feminine. And that meditation that you did in the beginning, I felt it so beautifully, like the weaving of the masculine and the feminine within my body as you did that. You're a very powerful leader of meditation. Yeah. So
just let me interject that I love Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. I've been to lots of 11 actually of his advanced courses.
Wow.
I'm a junkie, and it's not that, you know, like people are like, well, do you not learn it the first time? It's just that you deepen every time. Yeah. So go ahead. Anyway, I love the quantum and that conversation.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can pause here. I said a lot, so let me pause here and see, yeah.
Well, I love how you're taking it, deeper and opening into, quantum possibility, and that idea of I also love Neville Goddard, but like we are creating all of it all the time. And I think people can hear that in so many different ways, but there is always a new level for that to sink in and for us to receive it, myself included. I mean, I've been practicing conscious life creation for, my whole adult life, yet there's always a new level. And, this is why it helps to have a coach or a guide, because, someone like you can help someone unpack, what is my dream? What do I want? What am I uniquely here to do? And also, like when you were talking about what you did as a child, my favorite thing to do as a child was to go to this marshy area and catch frogs. But I wasn't just catching frogs. I was tuning into the land, like the fairyland, and able to be able to even see them, and I felt so safe and comfortable in that nature place by myself. I was meditating.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love it. That's great. That's reminding me, I'm like, okay, here I am with my tiara on and this backdrop. And my favorite thing to do was to play dress up. So like here I am with my get up and like
perfect. Yeah. So you get to, and that's, I think, another bonus of like working for yourself or doing your dream, being an entrepreneur. Nobody tells you what to wear to work. Like, you can, you can wear whatever you want.
And you can keep Wonder Woman on your desk with a tiara and crystals and a Tiffany bowl, and nobody's going to say anything because nobody comes in here except for me.
Yes, channeling your inner Wonder Woman.
This is like I love having this here, and actually our friend Sarah gave me the Wonder Woman and the tiara. So.
Awesome. I love it. Oh, our mutual friend.
Our mutual friend, yeah. Because I channel her energy. I see I am a warrior, right? And I love looking at her and being reminded.
Right? Beautiful.
So
I love that.
Fun thing that you can, I mean, I think it's great to have something on your desk. Like even if you're working in an office, have something secret. That like it means something to you that nobody knows, and then you look at it, and I think it's wonderful to do that.
I agree, and whenever someone shows me something that's on their desk, it's always magical. I'm not even at my desk today because I'm in my dining room area, but I keep an Andara crystal, which is a very special sacred stone that really connects me to my star heritage. So it's always there, just kind of reminding me. Yeah. So as we continue, I know that you talk about the 4 pillars of prosperity, and I'd love to jump into that conversation with you and have you share what are the 4 pillars of prosperity, and then we can go deeper into those as you go.
Okay, sounds good. I did want to pick up on, was there something about time that you'd wanted to say?
Well, and I thought that might be in the 4 pillars of prosperity. It might not, but yes, let's go there now.
Okay, yeah. So, I just didn't want to forget.
I've heard you talk about the relationship with time. And for me, time is the thing. Like, it's the thing that I have a very full schedule, and I love to meditate and channel, and that requires time, all of these things, summits and podcasts, and just all of those things take time. And so for me, it's always like, oh my gosh, and then there's family, and so what I end up not putting in is enough playtime. And I know that's one of the pillars. Or connected.
All right, cool. So I'll weave in some of these ideas as we talk about the pillars. That was great to get your sense of that. So I think the first way to look at this lens, and this is like to look at what I'm about to say as filters through which to, because I think that in modern life, one of the biggest issues with time is that there are too many things that we want to do, right? So as I begin to look at these, I like to reevaluate through these daily, because I add things to my plate that aren't really in my area of focus. Or so it's so let's talk about what the 4 pillars are and how they can help us to focus, because we end up thinking about and spending energy on the majority of things that we think about and spend energy on are a waste of time and a waste of energy. So I know that may be challenging for people, and it can seem dismissive of, well, no, most of the thoughts I'm having are important, but actually most of them are not. So that would be the place to begin, with, I guess, a harsh spiritual truth. And then the 4 pillars, they're Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. And I will explain what those are in a moment. Some of you already know what those are because you study yoga. And they're very special to me, because my father used to sit us down when we would do our special prayer ceremony as a family. And I wasn't so into the prayer ceremony, but I liked the community aspect. And then we would sing together devotionally. And then he would ask us, and he wouldn't ask us the 4 pillars. It's a different words in Hinduism for what these are. And you'd say, what are they? And I'd say, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. And we'd all like have to list them off, and it would be so fun. And so it's this moment of enthusiasm and excitement that turned into guidance for me when I was so lost. Because all of these things that we described earlier of the pain and the disconnection leads you to a place of it led me to a place of, I had a DUI and I was in jail, and I was sitting there and looking for, like, what was I gonna do? How did I end up here? And I found myself over the years really turning to this wisdom, because I had lost touch with my purpose, Dharma. And that had me completely disconnected from myself, and had this second self that needed to soothe itself and off doing crazy things, the shadow self. And so I started to realize that I had to find my purpose and follow it, and that it was the most important thing, that all of the other things that I'd been deeming to be so important, all of the other things I was thinking about, like we were talking about a moment ago, all the things that we were running through my mind, most of them were really not what I needed to be focused on. So I began this journey at a place of, and for a lot of us, we don't realize what a crisis of purpose we're in. I mean, we're running around with low-grade depression and we think we're fine. We're running around feeling numb. We're running around wanting to run away from most of what's going on in our lives. And we're pretending to be fine, but we're not fine, and we are not on purpose, and we're very disconnected from ourselves and from what's really important to us. So it's this inquiry of, what is important to me? Why am I here? And this is not who I want to be, whatever it is that's going on in your life. And then looking at, like, what is it that can light you up again? And then the really key piece of that is Kama, which is another one of the 4 pillars, which we get so out of touch with, which is pleasure. And this is actually also the Tantra of life. And Tantra isn't just about sex, which pisses me off so much that that's what this country has done. Tantra is about the beauty of being alive. Tantra is about, like, breathing the air and having it feel like so orgasmically blissful just to be alive. And we are so out of touch with this. We aren't in our bodies. And so I wasn't in my body. I was just running around like a disembodied head. That's how I ended up the DUI. right? So what is it for you that can help you drop back into your body? Where are you disconnected from yourself, from your experiences? And it doesn't matter how good you are at this. I feel like you can get better because I'm really good at this and I can get better. So, because sometimes we can tune out, oh, I've heard that before. But there's so many ways that we're disembodied and disengaged. And so it's important to get present to how are we disembodied? How are we disengaged in this moment? Where are you?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way you cut yourself off from your pleasure? Do you deny yourself pleasure? Do you overdo pleasure? So it's a great inquiry. And then we have.
Can I comment on that before
Oh,
you
sure,
go
sure.
on?
I'm going on and on. Yeah.
I
get so excited.
No, it's great. But that one for me, like, it's so important. And particularly, in our culture, I don't know about other cultures, but certainly in the Western culture, like we make these to-do lists and like, I have to accomplish this, this, and this. And sometimes even when it's like going out on a date or doing something fun, it's like, it's almost like it becomes something to check off the list. I got to remember to connect with, whoever, with my partner, my friends, my children. But it's like, what about bringing joy and pleasure into that connection, or even into whatever is on the list, whether it's cooking or serving or, pulling weeds or whatever it is throughout the day, taking out the trash. How can this be more pleasurable? I'm not sure about the cat box, like cleaning litter, but I've thought about that. Like, how can we bring pleasure into our daily life to create that balance, especially when we're busy? So it's not just like, okay, at the end of the day, oh, didn't check the comma box today. What can I do more? And that's where people get into drinking or, checking out with drugs or whatever. I feel like that one, if we could get that into balance throughout every day, then we won't be so disconnected, like you said.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important. And one of the things I'm finding so interesting as I listen to you is we schedule the time for the connection, but then we're not present during the time that we are with the person. So we check it off as though we've connected. And, and even just as I was tracking through like the different experiences you were describing, it's like, it's so much about presence and are we there or not? And so many of us are checked out and we're thinking about our phone when we're with our partner and, oh, who's texting me? And, oh, who emailed me for work? And are we really with our child or our partner or, so I was hearing that as well through what you were saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's everywhere. If you look around, people hanging out together all on their phones, like, or, just taking selfies or.
Yeah. And I felt like the greatest compliment I received when we were dropping my son off at college was we were staying with my cousin and her husband. And her husband said, your child rarely takes out his phone. Because he was so present with the family. And we've had some struggles. He's not always been like that. There are times where I'm talking to him and I'm like, I have not seen you all day. Can you please get off your phone? So he's not perfect. But we've had enough interaction about it that he actually he has a consciousness now. And it's so beautiful to watch that evolving in his generation because it was so hard. And yeah, I can relate. I like to be like, I like to forget I have a phone, Yeah.
Yes. Presence, which is what it's all about. And that, that's what creates embodied ascension, which is what I teach, and getting in rather than getting out. And all these things are available to take us out all day long, but it's really getting in that has us enjoy life.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, so let's do the third and fourth pillars. The third pillar I love that this is a pillar of prosperity. I love that this is an aim of life in Hinduism, in Vedanta. You know, this is not a religious concept, by the way. This is more like a spiritual principle, but it does come from Hinduism. So the artha is wealth, but it's not just wealth. It's the means to like to fulfill on your purpose, fulfill on whatever is going on in your life, the means to have all of the things that you want. So it's not just money. It's more like none of these, like the word money doesn't translate to artha. Wealth doesn't quite get it either. Like a lot of these Sanskrit words, there's so much more to them. And but one of the things that I love about the fact that this does come from a religion, and this is a spiritual principle, and wealth is an aim of life. So, and it is part of a spiritual path. You are meant to have money. And so, you know, if there are doubts that come up, so many people have issues with this. You are meant to prosper through sharing who you are. Now, does that mean you're meant to make millions of dollars through it? Not necessarily, but it does mean that you are meant to have enough for yourself. And artha is this beautiful principle of if you show up in your purpose and you take right action, which is karma, and then you will receive what you require to feel fulfilled. And you will receive what you need to have pleasure in your life as well. And that if you show up purely in this way, that these things will come to you with a lot of ease. But if you're showing up in a different way, if you're showing up with an agenda like I had on life, or like a lot of my culture, the people in this country have, of like, okay, we need to choose this career to make this amount of money, to control life in this way. You know, it's not about that. It's about showing up as who you're meant to be. It's about these pure principles from ancient, thousands of years ago, and we need to go back to those. Mm-hmm. And when we show up that way, then we don't have this numbness. We don't have anything to disconnect from. We're here as we are, like as you are. If you get to be you and share your gifts, which you have many, and you feel fulfilled by what you're giving, and then you're getting paid for that, what, you know, and it's giving you pleasure, and you have relationships that are giving you pleasure in your life. That's what we're all here for. Mm-hmm. So this principle of artha is, there's nothing inconsistent about having money and having spirituality in your life. And we are here to enjoy, we are here to be embodied as spirits in this life. That is what I believe the purpose of life is. That is what the Vedics believed. And yeah, okay, so that's that. And then I'll move to the last one.
Let me say, I like have to comment on this. I love how it ties into the kama, that like, it's almost like luxury, you know, enjoying, or the affluence, the luxury that comes, the affluence that you get to experience through your dharma, through like following that path. Whereas if you're doing something else just to make money, you might make money, you might have money, but you're not really going to be enjoying it the same way as you will through doing it through your dharma. So that leads to the balance of the kama, right?
Yeah, and then you're receiving nectar from every moment of being alive, which is what we're meant to do. It's not like, okay, I'm going to do all these things and delay gratification and make all this money that I'm going to spend when I retire. Like what? Like what? Why would you do that to yourself? Waste the best years of your life slaving away at something you hate doing or dislike doing, or, you know, it's just, and then we see so many doing that, and then they're not, and then you see the health problems that result, and then all of a sudden there's an awakening of, you know, so let's not have to go through all of that. You know, have you had the health problems already? I have. You know,
yeah, and, you know, and then if that happens, then you don't get to enjoy your retirement anyway,
Yeah,
at least not
exactly.
to the level of, doing some of those things that you get to do when you're healthy.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last pillar is moksha, and that is spiritual liberation. It is freedom, and it is, and these don't have to go in any particular order. So you can be working on any and all of them every day, as I do. But I love that an aim of life is spiritual liberation. And part of that is through pursuing your purpose, having pleasure in your life, having money in your life, that is part of your path to your spiritual liberation. That you are meant to follow that path. You're meant to express yourself. You're meant to explore all these beautiful parts of you and your shadows and your light, and as you express the ultimate aim of life. I don't necessarily see it as, oh, let's liberate yourself from this cycle of existence. Some do. I can't prove that there is a past life and a future life. I think there are. I can't prove it. I think there are lots of different ways that you can look at it. But what I do know is that in this life, too many of us get stuck in a particular incarnation, and or several of them, or different versions of stuckness, or we get more and more stuck as we go through life. So if all you want to take from this pillar is to unstick yourself from the, because we have conditioning that we receive in this life from our family, from society, and a lot of it is a bunch of BS. But we, in our mind, like, there's a little voice in our heads that's talking to us all the time, and we think it's the truth. We look at it as God. Almost. Even those who are atheists worship this voice as God. I've seen it many times. And most of the things that this voice is saying are not true. And so if all you get from this pillar is to question, and this is not to say that not to trust yourself, there's a deeper part of you. And a lot of you know this part, a lot of you access this part, and a lot of us toggle between these different parts every day. And who knows, I don't know where you're spending the majority of your time, right? It can vary day to day. But what this pillar really is about is living from a place of consciousness and really looking at and choosing in alignment congruent with who you are here to be. Not who your parents think you should be, not who your grandparents think you should be, or your husband or your friends, but who are you here to be? And being that. And dealing with the voices in your head that prevent you from being that. That's like a very simple way to put it if you want to look at it at the very simplest level. And then there's so many other places to take this conversation. But at the very basic level, even if you don't believe in rebirth and spiritual liberation and all this stuff, it's about liberating yourself from your self-built prison. So that's what this is.
I would say, like, at a deeper level, like the enlightenment piece, it's about liberating the heart from all of the things that we're constricted by. And in that like multi-dimensional enlightenment of mind, body, spirit, releasing, which does, I feel like it takes courage, but it takes maturity as well. And like getting to that point, you and I both did at some point, of like confronting that part that wants to hold us back, because what if, and because what will they say, and because it doesn't fit with the way that we were raised. Those are difficult. It's a difficult journey for many. And yet when you step into the embodiment of the purpose, the Dharma, it opens your heart and you continue, and all of these other things fall into place. For me, that's where, in the Egyptian I love Anubis, who's come to me as a guide before, as an ascension guide, but the Anubis has the scale that weighs the heart against the feather. And if the heart is lighter than a feather, then the heart gets to, or then you get to cross into the, hold on, sorry, there's a box. You get to cross to the other side. But if your heart's not lighter than a feather, you don't. And what that means is, have you reached that level of spiritual lightness that you can be free in your body? It's not even about crossing over to the other side, but in your body, in your life, have you been able to let go of all of the things you're bound by so that your heart is lighter than a feather?
Beautifully put. I love it. Yeah. That's really gorgeous. Thank you.
Yeah, it seems like the traditions, whatever they are, they're interwoven.
Yes, I love the Egyptian tradition. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isis is one of my favorites.
Yeah, mine
I've got her
too. Mine
downstairs in
too.
my family room.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. All right. And so I don't know did you get into like you wrote having expansive and spacious relationship with time so you can experience more ease. That was one of your trainings. And I'm like, I love the idea of that, because that's one of the things that I get bound by in my life, or just the idea of it. Really, it's just how we think about it or who we're being around it. But the time isn't even real. So, I mean, it's a concept more than anything that we're living inside of. And when I can step out of it, I can expand it or contract it. But when I'm in it, it's like I feel at effect of it.
Yeah. Well, for someone like you, I don't know if some of the things I'm about to share will necessarily be helpful, because you are a very evolved being. So I'm uncertain that you actually waste time in these kinds of areas, but perhaps you do. I mean, I know I still do sometimes. It's just, there are so many ways in which we are acting on other people's agendas. That's why I say it's not so much applied to you, because you probably don't do this any longer very much, right? But there can be so much time that is wasted on things that aren't even important to us. So it's why it's like the looking at things through the layer of, your purpose and who you are, your true self, your essence. Because many of us spend our lives on other people's agendas. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that helps you at all, because you're probably not doing it any longer.
It's not just for me, but absolutely it does help, because something I've noticed, and everything ties into each other for me, like the human design. I don't know if you're familiar with that at all, but
very much so.
I know that I have an open will center. And when I'm in a partnership, I oftentimes defer my will to theirs. And that has not served me well in the past.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So things like this. So this is a great example that you just gave. So it's like, so think about things like this. Like there's so many places like this where we are not actually saying what we really think or what we really want or what we really desire. At that place, you're out of touch with your karma. You're not actually saying what you desire. And then that becomes an energy drain. And we have many of these going on invisibly. So becoming more and more aware of every single thing that you're giving your time to. So these are very basic exercises, but time tracking can be very useful. But then this is all really basic. This is stuff that people have heard before. You track your time, you see where it's actually going. Then on another level, if you can consider that living in the third dimension, yes, we need to respect time as a construct on a certain level. And I need to show up at a certain time to speak with Washela, etc. But there are a lot of other ways in which time is an illusion, and we put all this pressure on ourselves. And I know you know this already, right? But it's like I love this reminder, because even though I know this, I do this to myself every day in different ways. I have to constantly remind myself that I'm not actually in a rush, that there's enough time, that there's this. So then it comes down to, how is your nervous system doing? How relaxed is your nervous system? Most of our nervous systems are really out of whack. And, looking at it Ayurvedically, it's a vata imbalance. A lot of quick stress, high energy, and it's just the way that the society runs. Like, I remember when I went to Hawaii this summer for a vacation, I felt immediately better just being on an island and away from the energy of Southern California. So it's like this. And then when we're in this, then it can feel like we don't have enough time. But if we just rest in our nervous system, and then that's the trick. What is it that relaxes your nervous system? Different than mine, I think. Everyone's is different. And then there's some things, so finding the recipe.
Yes, finding the recipe, indeed.
And then practicing, vigilantly, and looking at, well, how am I looking at time today? Because I get relaxed. Oh, I figured that out already. No, I didn't. I go back into my bad habits.
Yeah. Yes. We have to have the reminder of like, okay, we're creating this all the time, and to take our time. I've been a chronic rusher my whole life. So it's always so much to do, right? Only so much time. And
my husband and my son trained me out of that, because he likes to be early like his dad. I never had to wake him up for anything, which is really nice, actually. But then he wouldn't like it when I was rushing and I was making him feel stressed. Mm-hmm. So I had to start. It changed my life, actually. Wow. Being his mom in that way, because then I stopped rushing.
Yeah. Nice. Beautiful teachers are children, aren't they?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to make sure we talk about, you have some offers, and one is a free gift. It is Epic Dream Accelerator. Would you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. So what I've done is I've created a PDF that walks you through some portions of the Epic Dream method and helps you really start creating your dream and looking at what's in your way. So some of the kinds of things that I talked about earlier. And you'll also receive 2 meditations that help you to shift your nervous system into a better state for the day. And one of them is energy center based, so chakra based, and then the other one is more based upon helping you create your day and the energy you want to create in your day. And so you can check them out, and then if you would like to go deeper inside it, so you'll sign up for this if you're interested in experiencing this. And then if you'd like to go deeper, you'll receive an email inside which you'll have an offer to sign up for a time for $97 to speak with me and get my support with creating your dream and what's in your way. So that is what I have for you today, and I'm really excited to share it.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Kavita. This was a fun conversation. And I loved, kind of getting into some of the concepts of the prosperity pillars and everything that you brought. So thank you for sharing all of that and for your generosity today. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Michelle. It was really great to connect with you and your audience. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, me too. All right. And to everyone else, feel free to tune into the Facebook page and let us know what you thought or what you received or learned today in this conversation. Have a beautiful day or evening wherever you are. And just know that you are not alone on your spiritual ascension process. We're all in this together. And thank you so much. Namaste.
Namaste.